Oi, oi, hello, Christiani here, and I'm about to offer a build your home practice workshop in just a few minutes. Folks are coming in, and I have been on this contemplation on if there is one thing, just one thing, that has really supported me throughout my life in accessing and cultivating practices or daily routines that truly support me. What is that one thing? So I'm going to invite you to ask yourselves this very question as well. Whether this daily routine is an asana practice, a yoga practice of any kind, or something else. For the things that you do on a regular basis, ideally on a daily basis, that truly nourish you in every aspect. What are those contributors? So in my contemplation, what came up for me was that first we have to have a clear, objective look at what the obstacles that are in the way. We see ourselves wherever we currently are. We envision ourselves where we would like to be, taking on these practices because we know the effect that they have in our lives. And how do we bridge the two? We need to look at the obstacles that are in the way, otherwise we would be right there, right? So in the sense of the asana practice, for example, since that's what we're about to do in a few minutes, it may be something very fundamental like, I don't know how to practice, right? So that's valid, and that needs to be addressed with knowledge, with understanding, with the willingness to learn. If it's something more of an emotional trigger, such as it feels overwhelming, right? Which can very well be any new thing that we take on, any of the unknown, who can have that sense of overwhelm, especially if, as we call in Ayurveda, we have a vata, excess movement in our minds. And so in this case, it will be helpful, useful to create some structure, right? To really take the time to implement structure into our lives. As where emotions like melancholy or just really just the lack of motivation to care, to take care of yourself, right? It can happen. Sometimes that's very much what depression does. So then in this case, it's a little bit more about cultivating an environment that has more of that fiery element, like, okay, and we will do it for 5 minutes because, right? And then we can do it. So it's like more like that parenting role, let's say, or just as we see in Ayurveda, just that very discerning, clear, we will do this and then we'll do that, and allow it to begin to take shape. And sometimes it's like the obstacle is a little bit of an irritant of sorts, right? It's like, my body just can't. I don't have the flexibility. I wasn't made that way. I know that I went through I went through all of these that I'm describing to you, in fact. But with the irritation, right, it's really important that we meet it with kindness, right? So the body, whatever critical dialogue we're having in terms of the body, that we recognize that this is the body that we have, that contains all that we are. So the more kindness that we can bring to that recognition of its role in our lives and how incredibly beautiful truly the body is, then then that can begin to offset or shift the perspective of the irritant a little bit. And then we see that, we may have, our obstacles may change from season to season, and certainly they are different from person to person. And yet, the one antidote, let's say, if there is one antidote, is really the same for all of it and for all of us, is making the choice to take that one step that will then bring us to move in the direction of where we wish to be. Because we have to recognize the gravitational pull of facing the opposite direction, right? So that's really important. But then again, this consideration, just one thing that truly supports my practice. So once I take a clear look at what the obstacles are that may be present, and of course, depending on where it is that we wish to accomplish, the obstacles will be so varied in shape and form. Looking at that, considering that the antidote really is taking that one step, then I think, well, maybe if there's just one thing, then I would say the one thing is the mindset that I have been cultivating for a really long time that has served me so completely, which is a mindset that says that every single obstacle that is in my life is truly a training course for my benefit. Because without a training course, how will I grow? How will I grow? How will you grow without having this opportunity to jump a few hoops and turn some corners and walk some single tracks, right? And get over some bumps and allow those bumps to propel you up higher and more smoothly, perhaps even. So then I'm thinking, yeah, it's really that mindset that is the one thing. But then I think, well, had I not also been so mindful of cultivating community all along, would that mindset alone have done it? No way. Absolutely not. Because the mindset is not taking into account the blind spots. And it's also not taking into account what's deepest about our humanity, and that is that we are all intra-connected. And so to have the opportunity to move through our obstacles while others who are also moving in the same direction, also encountering their own unique obstacles, some of them like yours, but some of them not at all, to be doing that in togetherness. Maybe that's the one thing. Thank you. From my heart to yours.